let us discuss the super fun once a year-end closeout and rolling over of this spreadsheet file. Now, at the end of the year, you've got to walk through a specific set of steps that's going to help you ensure that your numbers are correct and reliable for tax purposes, and that you've got a ready-to-go fresh spreadsheet to use for the next year. And we've got to do this a certain way because inventory is perpetual. It rolls over from year to year. This year's ending inventory becomes next year's beginning inventory. So you want to make sure that you've got everything correct going into the start of a new year. So let's talk about this in two parts. First is the year-end closeout process, getting ready for tax time, getting the tax inventory numbers you need, and then the next is rolling the spreadsheet over for the new year. So it's kind of like a two-step process with lots of baby steps within each of the two parts. The first step is to make sure you have got all your inventory purchases for the year entered into your materials tabs. You want it to be up to date. Remember, for your tax return, one of the important numbers we know is the total you spent this year on your inventory. And for us as makers, that means the total you spent this year on your inventory materials and supplies. So basically you want this cell, your total purchases this year, to be up to date for all your material mint colored tabs. Once all your purchases are entered in your spreadsheet, those numbers will be up to date, and you can actually go to your year tab and see, hey, this is how much I spent on inventory, materials, and supplies this year. That is one of the big numbers you need for your taxes. So having all your purchases in there, make sure that this number is correct. The next big thing that you need to do is everyone's favorite step, and that is performing the year-end count of your inventory. That means going through, measuring, counting, weighing, whatever, all your raw materials and supplies. You've already got them entered in here. You might have some rolled over from a prior year. You've got to go through that craft stash now and count what's left. So on your spreadsheet, that means making sure this column right here, your units remaining column, is accurate. And you want it to be accurate as of the end of the year. And that's going to be the end of the taxable year, which for most of us is as of 12/31. So theoretically, on 12/31, you're going through and you're counting your blue geometric cotton fabric. You might take out your measuring tape, put it on your cutting board or whatever, and measure. Do I have 56 square inches of that left? Yes, then we're good to go. Okay, next one. Do I have 200 square inches of this one left? And you might say, no, I don't. I actually only have 180 square inches left. You can type in and override that number to whatever it needs to be. Or if you prefer to adjust your units used, you can do that instead. So in that case, I'd increase this one by 20 to get to 180. Note that if you override this number directly, then you're basically deleting the formula there. So every time you increase your units used from that point forward, your units remaining is not going to change because there's no longer a formula there. So you can override it if that's easier. Just know that your units used is not going to have any effect on it from that point forward. So if you'd rather keep the formula there, you can also just increase your units used to make units remaining equal what it needs to be. So your year-end count is going to be you verifying or updating this column on every single materials tabs you have. So once you have verified your units remaining, that means that this gray cost of ending materials, which is summing up column N for you, this number will be up to date, and you want that to be up to date for every materials tab that you've got. And the sum of all those cost of ending materials cells is going to actually show up right here on your ending inventory materials and supplies. So that is the sum of each materials tab right here. This is only part of your ending inventory number though that you need for taxes. You also need to include your finished goods. So if you are the type of business that has finished goods at the end of the year left unsold, like you're not custom order shop, then you need to also go through and count those, you want to do a year-end count of your ending inventory, your finished goods inventory, and verify your ending units remaining for your 3 finished goods inventory tabs. That ensures that this number right here is up to date. Your cost of ending finished inventory, which is basically the sum of this column for all 3 inventory tabs, and is getting totaled up right here. So you do the year-end count there, and then these 2 numbers together are going to give you the ending inventory that you need for your tax return. So that would go here on line 41. The cost of your inventory at year end would be your ending finished goods inventory plus your ending inventory materials and supplies left. So this projected cost of goods sold here, it's like a plug number. I'm calculating it exactly the same way it's calculated on your Schedule C. It should ideally not be a negative number once you have all your other numbers up to date. It's showing up as negative because I marked a bunch of stuff as sold but didn't actually go in and reduce my units remaining because this is all an example. I just didn't do a thorough enough job making an example. So if you see a negative number here, that likely means that your materials aren't up to date and you need to just go through and do your year-end count. Remember what I said about waste, scraps, and trash too earlier in the materials video. Another important reason why we've got to do a year-end count is because sometimes, even if you've been keeping up with your units used throughout the year, you might have some materials or even finished goods no longer there at the end of the year due to waste. They might have become damaged. Somebody could have stole them. Like, there's all sorts of things that could have happened that you don't know about, and you want your units remaining to reflect any of those scenarios so that you can get that cost of goods sold deduction for that amount. So that is pretty much it for the year-end closeout. Once you know that all your purchases have been entered, your ending materials are up to date, your ending inventory numbers are up to date, then you know that this number is reliable. You want to input your beginning year inventory from last year's tax return if you haven't already done that. And by putting it in from last year's tax return, I mean last year's ending inventory becomes this year's beginning inventory. If you did not have a tax return last year or you had 0 in ending inventory, then this can simply be 0. You also want to make sure that your personal use units are up to date. And you can account for that when you do your year-end count. But if you know that there was an item that you took out for personal use, you can update that. And then you know that you are ready to go that with these numbers and that they should be reliable now that you've done your year-end count for tax purposes. You would want to then save your spreadsheet. Save it. I would even go as far as to save it with a special year-end number. Give it a special name, designate it as 2018, maybe call it final. You want to know that this is good to go and you're not going to accidentally make any changes to it or overwrite it. I always recommend saving it to the cloud. A super simple way to have a backup of a file is just to email it to yourself. Then it's always stored in your email account. Chances are that you're going to do your year-end count at the end of the year or very close to the end of the year. So if you're doing this on like January 2nd or something to verify your year-end numbers, you might not actually use this for doing your taxes until closer to that April 15th deadline. So you want to perform the count, you want to save the file, store it away safely somewhere, and then you can move on to rolling it over for next year on a clean new file, but still have those numbers to refer back to in the 2018 final file for when it comes time to actually do your taxes, which you may not do for several weeks. And remember that these numbers are going to directly correspond to what ends up going into part 3 of your Schedule C. So now that we have gotten this done for the year, we've discussed the year-end closing process, let's talk about how we can roll this spreadsheet over to a new year. The easiest way I think to do it is to literally copy the file. And on a Mac, I do that in Finder. If you're on a Windows computer, you can do that with your Windows Explorer, I believe it's called. So you want to navigate on your computer hard drive to wherever the file is stored. I have got my 2018 final here. You want to literally copy that file and create a new version of it. So now I've got a copy, and I'm going to call this my 2019 file. So this is my file for going forward. You can also do this if you just go to your spreadsheet software and you do save as, but a different name. Just make sure you do not accidentally save over your 2018 or your whatever year you're working with final. So I've got a new spreadsheet up. I'm going to perform all those steps we talked about with your initial setup of the spreadsheet. You probably don't need to change, your material or inventory tab names. And now I'm ready to go getting started cleaning up some of these tabs. There's a few different things that I want to do. So let's talk about the Mint materials tabs first. All right, so our first step is going to be to remove any used up or sold out raw materials and supplies on our Mint tabs. But in order to do that, we've got to do one special thing first. Over on your cost of goods made tab, you might be linking to some of the materials that you have now used up. For instance, I've got this zipper that I know I have now used up. I've got 0 left. And if I just go ahead and delete that zipper off, then I'm going to create a reference error right here in this cell. So to mitigate that, if you are using the cost of goods made tab, what you want to do is highlight anything that you've got in this tab so far, all the way for any cost of goods that you might have calculated last year. You want to highlight it, and we're going to copy and paste it right where it is, but as a value instead of as a formula. So highlight anything in columns B through K. You don't need to go all the way to L. Just click and drag B through K for everything you've got. I want you to right click and go to copy, or Control or Command C for copy. Once you see your dancing ants, you don't want to click outside of this. You're going to paste it back right where it is. You just need to do a special kind of paste. So don't do Control or Command V to paste. You want to go to Paste Special, or you might see Paste As. You might need to right click to see that, or you can go to your edit menu and see the same thing. Paste Special, not Paste. And when you do that, you're going to get this pop-up window that says, what do you want to paste this as? I want to paste it as values. So you select values, click OK, and now instead of that being a formula, it's simply 450. So now I can safely delete everything that's sold out over here without affecting these formulas. We can finally get rid of the materials and supplies that we totally used up in the prior year. So look for anything that has got 0 ending units or 0 cost of units remaining, and we can delete it. To do that, you want to highlight that entire row, and you can do that by clicking the number to the left of it, and then you right click and you hit delete. It's as simple as that. So in this instance, I've got 2 things on this tab that totally sold out. I would do that for all of my tabs. Anybody that's got 0 items remaining, they all get deleted and zeroed out of my spreadsheet so that I can have more room and clean things up a little bit. The next thing that I want to do is just put a yes in this column for everything here, because the cost of all of these materials was included on last year's Schedule C. I don't want these purchases to be counted again on this year's inventory on my Schedule C because it already has been counted. So all you have to do is type a yes here. If you want to easily just copy it down, you can. And you want to do that for every material you've got so that the spreadsheet knows, don't include this in your inventory purchases again. And you can know that you've done that right if you look at your total purchases this year, and so far it's a clean slate. You want it to be 0. And you know that you've done that right when you navigate over to this year tab and you see 0 for your 2019 total inventory materials and supplies purchased. Our next step is to do basically the same thing, but for your finished goods inventory. So you can delete anything that is totally sold out at the beginning of this year. If you have 0 units remaining, then you can clear it off your spreadsheet. And you do that again just by clicking to highlight the row and deleting anything with a 0 ending remaining units. Once you've gotten rid of everything that's sold and is sold out, your next step is that you want this year's beginning year units to equal last year's ending units. So we haven't made any changes to these cells yet. You want to be careful not to make any changes to these guys yet, to columns G through K, because this number is still reliable. This number still ties to the actual ending units from last year. We got rid of the 0 guys, but that doesn't matter because they didn't have any ending units remaining. So we're just going to update the beginning year units to reflect what rolled over from last year to this year. You can literally just type this in if you want, like 4, 3, and look at as I'm doing it, the numbers are changing because there's a built-in formula. So you've got to pay close attention to what you're doing here. But if you don't want to type it in like that, you can also copy and paste these guys as values. And you would do that again by right-clicking and going to copy. Then go back over here and right-clicking and doing paste special or paste as, and you want to do it as values. If you do just a simple copy and paste, then you're going to end up copying the formulas and not the numbers themselves. And you're going to get this super fun error. That's why you want to do as values specifically, or you can just hand type it in if that's easier for you. So your beginning year units are now correct, and this number is wrong because it is taking these guys into account and basically double counting everything. So how can you fix that? You can zero out your quantity created this year because we're starting fresh. We haven't made any items this year. We have not sold any items yet this year. And we haven't given anything away for personal use yet. So basically you want to zero out anything entered in your quantity created, units sold, or personal use units for the year. So now I've got a fresh slate. This is what I'm starting the year with, and you would repeat that process for all your other tabs. This guy's got 2 at the beginning of the year. We haven't sold anything, we haven't used anything, so he's good to go. You can actually verify that you did that entire process right by making sure that your gray cell up here, your cost of ending finished inventory, matches whatever is on last year's file. So I'm going to open up last year's final file and put these babies side by side. And remember, this was my final file for tax purposes. And according to this, my dresses, I had $319 left at the beginning of the year, $319.36 worth of dresses left at the end of the year. And that is what I've got right now. And you can do that for every tab to make sure you're doing it right. You can also check your year to make sure that your year is right. Your finished ending goods and your finished ending materials should be the same as of this point. All this means is that everything is correct because there's no purchases and no actions so far this year. The very last step here is to make sure that last year's ending inventory becomes this year's beginning inventory. So you might have a number here, it might have been 0. You want to look at last year's final thing, and it's going to be the sum of these two. So these two together is going to become next year's beginning inventory. Or if you've done your Schedule C at this point and you know what you ended up putting it in the inventory here, that will become this year's number. So I can add these two together on my calculator or see the sum down here. $713.55 was whatever was reported at last year's ending inventory on my taxes. I'm going to make that be this year's beginning inventory. I don't have any purchases or anything going on yet this year. I haven't sold anything yet. So everything looks good. $0 cost of goods sold. My spreadsheet is now rolled over and ready to use for the next year. And you can go forward with entering new purchases now, just as you had been in the other version of the spreadsheet. So this is not super fun to do, but I've just outlined everything you need to do for you. You've also got the steps typed out in PDF form on your PDF instructions. You only have to do it once a year. There's lots of ways to check to make sure you're doing it right. And when you're done, I want you to give yourself a reward. Go get a massage. Go buy yourself something pretty. Give yourself some wine, whatever it takes, because that was hard work, but now you've completed it.